Last year, with the help of some friends, I made several videos showcasing that there are in fact plenty of fun NES games that can still be found for under $10 in 2020. Now that we're into 2021, my friends and I still have plenty of fun NES suggestions for the new year, so here are 10 more.
Lots of people tend to sleep on sports games, but there are some really fun experiences to be had on the NES for not a lot of cash. One game that I first experienced a few years ago was Super Spike VBall. This is an NES port of an arcade game developed by Technos, and it boasts the ability to play with 4 players simultaneously. In one-player mode, you are given the option to play an exercise game, an American tournament, or a world tournament. You are given the option to choose your characters as well, and this being a Technos game, you even have the option to play as Billy and Jimmy Lee from Double Dragon. The actual gameplay is kind of hit and miss, but it's definitely fun and can get addicting. I played this game for 3 hours while recording footage just because I kept getting better at it and enjoying it more and more. When I first popped it in for recording, I chose the exercise option and got completely crushed. Then I tried the tournament just to see how bad I'd get beat, and I got better and better and eventually beat the American tournament. You do get unlimited continues to keep trying, so don't feel bad if you lose a game. Just try it again. I definitely recommend giving this game a shot if you have a few bucks to spare. And if you already have an NES 4-score or an NES Satellite, you can get 3 or 4 of your friends to play with you.
Millipede is a sequel to the arcade classic Centipede and follows the blueprint of its predecessor's gameplay with additional features and mechanics. This game actually translates well onto the NES and can quickly suck you in like a roach on a glue trap. It gets addictive real fast. Now, I grew up playing single-screen arcade classics, so I'll always have a soft spot for these oldies, especially games where you blast everything in sight. On top of Millipede, HAL actually released 2 other arcade classics for the NES, including Defender 2 and Joust. I recommend all 3. Seacross is another arcade-to-home port, but I'm guessing not a lot of people have heard of this one. It's not great, but this is a list of fun games for under $10, not best games, and I enjoy this one from time to time. You ride on a futuristic motorcycle which has always reminded me of Tron, as you scroll from left to right all the while avoiding obstacles and shooting bad guys. It takes a bit to get the hang of, but once you get the mechanics down and start getting good, it can be a fun game played in short bursts. And for under $5, why the hell not check this one out?
Based on the Capcom arcade classic of the same name, Trojan on the NES is a must-play for gamers. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic future, and you take control of the protagonist, known as Trojan. Your mission is to defeat the army of Achilles, which is comprised of neo-punk-looking Trojan warriors. At its core, the game is a side-scrolling action game, much like Rush'n Attack and Kung Fu, in which you whack away at your enemies with your sword. Your shield in this game is crucial to your survival, as it blocks a lot of the knives and bombs that the enemies throw at you. As you are traversing the land, you can actually lose your sword and shield if the enemies hit you with a bomb. But fear not, you have your fists to dispatch your enemies with, as well as your wicked kicks. I remember this being a big deal among us, but I'm not really sure why. The game has a bevy of power-ups, from boots that can make you jump high, to power-ups that can make your attacks do more damage. Trojan boasts 3 game modes, a single-player, 2-player, or a versus game, which pits you against a second player in a deathmatch. Anyone who has played a Capcom game on the NES is familiar with the sound and graphics of the Capcom games, and Trojan does not veer from that excellent formula. What I love about this game is that it is challenging, but not too challenging. A player can probably run through Trojan's 6 stages in under 1 hour. A lot faster once you memorize the enemy's patterns, which are super easy to learn. The other thing about this game is that it introduced some of the most memorable villains, such as the Ghoul Dude, the Roly Poly Dude, the Brute Face Dude, this guy, and the Big Fencer Dude. You can grab a copy of Trojan for according to pricecharging.com, and for that price, it should be in everyone's library. A big thank you to Nefarious Wes for including me in this collaboration. Do not forget to subscribe to The Big Retro Show.
Alright, you guys are probably either ready to hold an intervention for me or have me committed to the loony bin, but just hear me out. The Adventures of Dino Ricky is not that bad of a game. Is it brutal? Damn straight. Will it make you curse? You bet your sweet ass. But like with most archaic 8-bit shooters, practice and memorization is the name of the game. The stages auto-scroll vertically while Ricky can run around, basically like a vehicle, in addition to jumps, which is easily one of the worst parts of the game. The checkpoints can be extremely brutal, especially when the stage structures change later on, but the challenge really keeps sucking me in for more, and I don't know if I'm a masochist or what, but I find myself attracted to Ricky's malevolent siren song.
Are you a JRPG fan looking for a cheap JRPG to play for the NES? Well, look no further than Dragon Warrior. Dragon Warrior came out in North America in 1989, but you can't look at that release date and think, whoa, this game looks terrible compared to other games that were released in 1989, because this game was originally released as Dragon Quest in 1986 in Japan. That being said, Dragon Warrior is a pretty basic game. There's just really one quest, to save the princess and defeat the Dragon Lord. Any side quests are just really a method to get better gear and proceed through the game. The big complaint is that the game is just one giant grind. You explore the landscape, level up by fighting tons of enemies, find a new town, rinse and repeat, until you get to the end of the game. That's not to say there isn't fun to be had here. Sure, the battle system is pretty primitive and there isn't a ton of story that you'd be used to in later JRPGs, but it can be kinda nice to have a simple experience if you're just in the mood to zone out and grind. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this as a must-play game, but if you have a few bucks and you're in the mood for a bit of a grind, go ahead and give Dragon Warrior a shot.
What else is there to say about Styanx on the NES? I covered it in depth not just once, but twice on my channel, and even broke down how to pronounce the name of the game in my Gaming Linguistics series. But enough about me, we're here to talk about a game that somehow stood the test of time and the patience of gamers' wallets. Styanx has somehow avoided the major jump in price that plenty of other cult hits have succumbed to. Part of me feels like the cover has to be the blame. It looks like a generic action fantasy romp, but then you get to the game and, well, just look at Styanx. He looks like a big doof. His weapons look like sex toys. I get it. I get it. But Styanx is an action game that still holds up for the price. Giant bosses, amazing music, and challenging but fair gameplay is a big part of why I still go back to it after all these years. Much like games such as Ninja Gaiden, Styanx's slow pace of the cutscenes can be skipped if desired, but I legitimately enjoy the campiness of them. The gameplay isn't a cheese fest though, with enemy patterns that take time to getting used to and can still shake up your confidence all these years later. And while the later stages feature a level that introduces puzzle elements similar to the first Super Mario Bros., it doesn't take away from the skill required to finish this game. You get up to 3 different spells: fire, time stop, and lightning, all of which need to be changed in the start menu and by pressing up to scroll through. The B button is your main form of melee weapon attack, and the bar at the bottom is used as your power meter, which can be leveled up through power-ups. Up and B is used for spells, with A being used for jumping. Most of my deaths involved knockbacks into pits, but the enemy placement was designed for this type of incurred pain. Graphics are great with lots of good color usage, though I can't help but question why some enemies are super teeny tiny and others are the size of your beefcake boy Styanx. Styanx is under $10 still to this day and is a complete bargain. It's fun, engaging, and it has great tunes and tight combat.
3D World Runner. Now this is a pretty simple game, but the 3D effect makes up for it. $8 for 8 levels of enjoyment is an incredible value for this unique game on the NES. Also, if you have red and blue 3D glasses, hit select to enter 3D mode. Yeah, this game is in 3D.
The Nintendo Entertainment System had some fantastic games you could purchase under $10. One of those is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I know, games based on movies usually suck, but this is a shining exception. Based on the movie starring Kevin Costner, Morgan Freeman, Christian Slater, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, and the late great Alan Rickman, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is an enjoyable, immersive game that every gamer should play at least once. The game closely follows a movie it's based on, and you start out as a prisoner in a Muslim prison. The Crusades were in full swing and sadly, you get captured. The game thrusts you in the role of Robin Hood and it's your job to escape the prison and rescue your comrade. Along the way you meet Azim, played in the film by Morgan Freeman. Azim tells you he has a key for the door you need to get through, but he will only show you where it is if you free him. Once you do, it's off to the sewers where you will fight hordes of enemies in your quest to return to Nottingham. The graphics for this game were pretty sweet for the time. You have to keep in mind this game was released in 1991, near the end of the NES lifecycle, and it impressed us back then. The game used digitized likenesses of the actors, although I think that the characters did not resemble the actors who played them in the film very much, but it was no biggie. What set this game apart from others is the gameplay modes. Most of the time you would play in an overhead perspective, where you could swing your sword, pick up items, and talk to and interact with items using an RPG command type menu. The game is essentially an action game highlighted with RPG elements. In certain parts of the game you would enter duels with various characters, and this is when the gameplay turned into a one-on-one combat game, which was challenging and enjoyable at the same time. The game also features big melee battles in which the screen would turn into a bird's eye view and you were swarmed by various enemies wielding swords and shooting arrows at you. Your party members would fight alongside of you and it was fun being in the chaos. Horse racing was also incorporated into this game, which would turn the gameplay to a side-scrolling horse race with bad guys chasing you through Nottingham. The sounds in this game were very good and would change with the plot points of the game, adding to the cinematic feel of the game. You can purchase a loose copy of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves for according to pricecharting.com. If you like the movie, you'll definitely love this game. A big thank you to Nefarious Wes for including me in this collaboration.
Saving the best for last, Bionic Commando is a unique platformer which offers a robotic arm to extend and swing with in favor of the more traditional jump mechanic. New players may balk at the idea of platforming sans leaps, and I'm not even gonna lie, mastering the bionic arm, or even half-assing it for that matter, will take some getting used to. But it's well worth it as this game allows you to traverse an overhead map to different locations where you'll encounter enemy bases, neutral zones, and even overhead commando-style segments. This game has it all. Great graphics, excellent music, and an unpredictable story, in addition to a harrowing yet fair challenge. And you even get to blow up Dude, trust me, for under $10 today, Bionic Commando is a steal, and only a damn fool would pass this one up. Ten more fun NES games that can be found for under $10 in 2021. And like I always ask after these videos, what are some fun, cheap NES games that you recommend? Maybe it'll be on the next episode. Make sure to check it out. Big thanks to my buddies Brasel, Nicktendo, Big Retro Show, and Super Nicktendo for helping me out with this, and thanks everyone for watching. Catch you next time.